What was Paul's thorn in his side? We don't know if it was a physical illness, but could it have been a mental health issue? Hi, I'm Dr. Bergina with Led Life Psychiatry, and we are leading you along a mental health journey, following in the footsteps of Paul in his possible mental health journey. Now, today we are in Ephesus, Turkey. Now, what Paul would typically do is go from synagogue to synagogue, teaching in the morning, then in the afternoon teaching to the Gentiles, and somehow in there he fit in his tent making business, which was a little easier with Priscilla and Aquila. But we know that he spent a lot of time in Ephesus, spending time with the Ephesians, even coming back on other journeys and stopping near them just to say goodbye. We know that he also encountered physical difficulties here. This area that I'm in right now, and I'm going to take a pan, I'm actually in the Agora, which was one of the marketplaces here in Ephesus. So this huge marketplace, this is likely where Paul was when the young lady who had demon possession was following him. And we know that Paul experienced some genuine emotions along this way. Disappointment of having taught the Jews and then been rejected and then attempted to kill him. But also he said that he was annoyed at the young lady that was following him and had the demon cast out of her. So we know he dealt with physical difficulties. This is where the mob would have taken him initially, and then spiritual difficulties, or at least challenges, with having to deal with the idol worship, witchcraft, and of course this slave girl who he had to cast this demon out of, or who he chose to cast the demon out of. Now, when you're being persecuted, when you're having difficulties, when you're not sure from where you are right now to the next place what might happen to you, what you're going to encounter, who's friend, who's foe, that can be difficult. That can cause anxiety. And we know the Holy Spirit did tell him that in every city he would experience chains and imprisonment. So could Paul have been dealing with an anxiety disorder? It's possible. The DSM, this is one of my little pet peeves when people say, oh, I have an anxiety disorder. That's an umbrella term because many patients are unaware sometimes of the specific type of anxiety disorder they have. And there are a plethora of them. For example, generalized anxiety disorder, social anxiety disorder, OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, the specific phobias. I told you that I was in the Agora, the marketplace. That should sound familiar to you. Agoraphobia is literally fear of the marketplace. This is where that term comes from. Now, when we think about that, that's basically a person who gets quite anxious when they're in a crowd because they're fearful they may have a panic attack or fearful of what might happen there. But Paul gives us many, many, many things that we can do and think of when it relates to anxiety. And I'm going to tell you more about Paul's prescription in our next video, where we go into 3 scriptures that Paul talks about, not just in Ephesians, but or in the book of Acts, but throughout the New Testament, several different times where we see that Paul experienced some anxiety or was told by the Lord to not be afraid. So we know the Lord must have told him that for a reason. And then his prescription for success.